You ever feel like your life just moves in waves? You have these periods where everything is stable. You ever feel like your life just moves in waves? You have these periods where everything is stable and going great, and then bam, total chaos. Well, guess what? It turns out that's not just a feeling. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful framework for understanding these ups and downs. It's called the wave model, and it all starts with a fundamental truth.
And this really gets to the absolute heart of it, doesn't it? Life isn't about trying to avoid the storm, because you can't. It's about learning how to navigate it when it hits. Chaos is a guarantee. The only thing we actually have any say in is how we respond.
All right, so let's dive into the first big idea here. The model argues that this cycle that we all feel between order and chaos isn't just some psychological concept or a nice metaphor. No, it's actually grounded in hard science. So here's the model's core claim, and it's a big one. That cycle between order and chaos isn't just in your head. In our careers, our relationships, even inside our own minds, this rhythm is as real and fundamental as gravity. And this is key. It's not a sign that you failed. It's the very signature of being alive.
So how does that actually work? Well, it all starts with something called the second law of thermodynamics. Basically, the universe naturally wants to move toward disorder, or entropy. So to create order, a stable job, a healthy habit, a strong relationship, we have to constantly pump energy into the system. We're creating these temporary little islands of order. But what happens when that energy falters? We get tired, we lose focus, life throws a curveball. Well, those structures naturally decay back into chaos. And the thing to remember is this isn't a bug in the system, it's the fundamental rhythm of life itself.
Okay, so if this whole cycle is natural, then why does it hurt so much when things fall apart? That brings us to our own internal experience of chaos, and more importantly, how we can actually learn to turn down the volume on the pain. The model proposes this really powerful schematic. Now, this isn't a literal math formula, right? You're not going to plug in numbers. The point is that suffering is made up of different parts. Pain, the actual loss or setback, that's real. But it's not the whole story. Suffering is what happens when we amplify that pain through 3 internal layers. And because it's made of different parts, it means we have levers we can actually pull. We can change the outcome.
Okay, so that first multiplier is resistance. It's basically how much we fight against what's already happening. And you see this idea pop up everywhere across all kinds of wisdom traditions. The Stoics had a name for it, amor fati, which means love your fate. Buddhists talk about dukkha, which is the suffering that comes from craving things to be different than they are. And even modern psychology, with something called acceptance and commitment therapy, confirms it. Our willingness to just feel difficult things without struggling against them is a huge predictor of our well-being.
The second multiplier is perception. This is all about the story we tell ourselves about the pain. Is this setback a total catastrophe, or is it maybe an opportunity? Look at the research on post-traumatic growth. The people who find meaning in adversity are the ones who actually grow the most from it. Even ancient symbols like the Tower card in the Tarot teach this lesson. It reframes a total collapse not as an ending, but as a necessary clearing of a weak foundation so you can build something stronger. And the final piece of this puzzle is resources. This is all about the energy you have in the tank, physically, emotionally, socially. See, resilience isn't some fixed trait you're either born with or you're not. It's your ability to draw on your reserves when you need them. This includes your belief in yourself, your self-efficacy, and even your social connections, which are a real physiological resource that literally helps calm our nervous systems down in times of stress. Okay, so we've got the theory down, we get the science, we get the anatomy of suffering. Now for the really practical part. What do you actually do when you find yourself right in the middle of a chaotic wave?
The model proposes a super clear order of operations. First things first, you have to deal with resistance. That means accepting reality. Okay, this is happening. That acceptance isn't giving up. It's a bridge to get you to the next step. And only then can you move to perception and ask a different kind of question. What opportunity does this chaos create? And finally, you assess your resources. If you're running on empty, your only job is to rest and restore. If you've got some gas in the tank, well then it's probably time to do that hard thing you've been avoiding.
And this slide just brilliantly illustrates why that reframing piece is so important. We tend to think of order as the good state and chaos as the bad one, right? But hang on, just look at what chaos uniquely offers. It's the only state where we can really see our own structural weaknesses, where we can dissolve what isn't working anymore, and where we build that deep, true resilience. Order is great for compounding and consolidating what you've learned, but chaos? Chaos is for transformation. This brings us to the final and maybe the coolest layer of the model, the power of narrative.
The argument here is that ancient myths are way more than just stories. They're like the ultimate operating system for navigating life.
I mean, think about it. Our brains are fundamentally wired for narrative. Data and facts are useful, sure, but it's stories that really help us store and access these deep patterns about how the world works. A good myth is kind of like a piece of pre-compiled cognitive software, just ready to run whenever we need it most.
And just look at how perfectly these ancient ideas map right onto the model we've been talking about. The universal hero's journey? That's a perfect map of the whole cycle, leaving the world of order, descending into chaos, and returning to a new order. The Tower card we mentioned, that's a perfect tool for the perception layer, helping you reframe a collapse. And Amor Fati from the Stoics, that's the ultimate tool for the resistance layer, teaching us to embrace what is. So, okay, let's bring it all together. The aim of this model, the whole point of it, isn't to help you build a life that's free of problems. Come on, that's impossible. The real goal is to get so good at understanding the rhythm of the waves that you can actually learn to surf them.
I absolutely love this final quote. It just reframes everything so perfectly. The ups and the downs, they aren't a sign that you're doing something wrong. They are the fundamental language, the grammar of what it means to be a living, growing thing. The work isn't to fight the cycle. It's simply to learn its rhythm. And so I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Looking at your own life, right at this moment, what wave are you on? Are you in a period of order, where you're consolidating and building up your reserves, or are you in chaos, where there's a huge opportunity to see what really needs to change? Your answer, that's your map.